Imagine if you could travel through time, not to the future, but deep into the past, into the darkest corners of human history. What if I told you that in the depths of unimaginable suffering, a man discovered the greatest secret of life? A secret so powerful that it allowed him to survive when others gave up, and now, it can transform the way you see your own life. It's a perspective that transcends pain, a wisdom that defies time itself. It's the ultimate revelation about the human condition, hidden in the words of a man who endured one of history's greatest horrors. This is Viktor Frankl's perspective beyond the present. This is the time traveler's secret. Viktor Frankl wasn't just a psychologist. He was a prisoner in one of the darkest places on Earth, Nazi concentration camps during World War II. Imagine being stripped of everything, your home, your family, your freedom, forced to endure starvation, torture, and the constant presence of death. Many prisoners around him collapsed, not just from exhaustion, but from something far worse: hopelessness. Frankl saw it firsthand. Those who had no reason to keep going simply faded away. It wasn't just the brutality of the camps that killed them. It was the absence of meaning. Yet, against all odds, Frankl endured. He survived when so many others did not. But how? What did he know that they didn't? After witnessing unimaginable horrors, Frankl uncovered a truth that transcends time itself. A truth that applies not just to those trapped in the past, but to all of us, here and now. This is the time traveler's secret, a perspective so profound that it can change the way you see suffering, happiness, and even your own purpose. Let's step beyond the present and uncover the lessons that kept Frankl alive and can transform your life too. Lesson 1. The power of meaning over suffering. Frankl discovered something extraordinary. Suffering itself doesn't break people. Meaningless suffering does. When people had a purpose, when they had something to live for, even in the camps, they found the strength to push forward. One prisoner held on because he wanted to reunite with his child. Another because he was determined to finish a book he had started before the war. Some lived for faith, others for love. Frankl himself clung to a vision of reuniting with his wife. Even though he had no idea if she was alive, he imagined her, spoke to her in his mind, held on to the love he felt for her. He famously quoted Nietzsche, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." This idea, this why, became his shield against despair. And here's the question for you. In your darkest moments, what is your why? What keeps you moving forward when everything seems lost? Lesson 2. Freedom beyond chains. The last human freedom. Imagine being trapped in the worst conditions imaginable, your every move controlled, your future uncertain, your very identity stripped away. Most people would say you've lost all freedom. But Frankl discovered something astonishing, something the Nazis could never take from him. In the depths of suffering, he realized that there was one final freedom no one could steal: the power to choose his response. Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response." That space, that tiny fraction of a second where you decide how to react, that is where true freedom exists. Some prisoners gave in to despair while others clung to hope. Some allowed hatred to consume them while others chose forgiveness. Frankl understood that while he couldn't control his circumstances, he could control his mind. And here's the mind-blowing part. So can you. No matter what happens to you, betrayal, loss, failure, there is always a gap, a moment where you can choose your reaction. And in that choice, you shape your future. Isn't that a form of time travel? The ability to step outside the immediate moment, detach from the chaos, and decide how the next chapter of your story will unfold? Lesson 3. The paradox of happiness. Stop chasing it. What if I told you the reason you feel empty is because you're chasing happiness the wrong way? In today's world, we're told that happiness is the goal. We scroll endlessly, chase success, seek validation, thinking that one day will arrive. But Frankl revealed a hard truth. Happiness is not something you can pursue, it must ensue. This means happiness isn't the destination, it's the side effect of living with meaning. Frankl noticed that the prisoners who survived weren't the ones obsessed with pleasure or escape, but those who had something greater than themselves to live for, a purpose, a reason to endure. Think about it. The artists who lose themselves in their craft, the parents who find joy in raising their children, the leaders who dedicate their lives to a cause. They aren't chasing happiness, they're chasing meaning, and in doing so, happiness finds them. So, here's the real question: what's your meaning? Lesson 4. Suffering as a gateway to transformation. What if suffering isn't a curse, but a doorway? Frankl believed suffering was not just something to endure, it was something that could transform us. He watched prisoners in the camps, those who let suffering break them, and those who used it to find a deeper purpose. Pain, he realized, is a test. It reveals who you truly are. Think about history's greatest minds: Buddha, Marcus Aurelius, Nelson Mandela. Every single one of them turned suffering into wisdom. What if your suffering is trying to tell you something? The heartbreak, the failure, the loss. It's not meaningless. It's shaping you. It's forging a stronger version of you. So the next time you're in pain, don't just ask, "Why me?" Instead ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Because suffering isn't the end, it's the beginning of something greater. So what is the time traveler's secret? Frankl's perspective takes us beyond the present, beyond the suffering, beyond the fleeting moments of despair. He shows us that if we step outside of time and focus on our bigger purpose, we can survive anything. Because life isn't just about the pain you experience today, it's about the meaning you create from it tomorrow. The struggles you endure now may not make sense in this moment, but one day, in hindsight, they may become the very thing that gives your life meaning. So the next time you feel trapped in suffering, remember, you have a choice, you have a why, and because of that, you have the power to rewrite your story. The real question is, how will you use it? Now, the question isn't just what Frankl discovered, but how you will use it. You have the same power he did, the power to find meaning in suffering, the power to choose your response, the power to stop chasing happiness and start creating it. So, take a moment. Think about your struggles, your challenges, the things that weigh you down. Now ask yourself, what's my why? If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Share this video, because someone out there needs this reminder just as much as you did. And if you want to keep exploring ideas that change lives, hit that subscribe button. Because the truth is, you're not just watching a video. You're stepping into the future you, the one who chooses meaning no matter what. So, are you ready to travel beyond the present?